What's your name?
Lisa Archdeacon.
When were you born?
October 10th, 1960.
Where were you born?
Chelsea Memorial Hospital.
What city did you grow up in?
Chelsea, Massachusetts.
Who did you live with?
My mother and my brother.
How old were you when the fire started?
13.
I heard about the first Great Chelsea Fire of 1908. Would you say that your city was still recovering from the damages made then?
No.
Where were you when the fire started?
I was walking down the street near my house.
How did the fire start?
I believe a rag shop caught on fire.
Where the fire was, what was that district made up of?
Mostly factories and some residential.
Would you say there were more factories than residential areas?
Yes.
Okay, how close was your house to the fire?
I would say 8 blocks.
You said the city was filled with smoke. How much smoke would you say there was?
At first it was light smoke, and then it began to get heavier and heavier. And then at one point it had embers floating over.
How long did it take for the fire or the smoke to become rapid and dark?
The wind was picking up at the time. I would say within like an hour.
The whole city was filled with smoke?
Yeah, pretty much.
Did you stay in Chelsea the whole time?
No, I did not.
Did any of your stuff get damaged?
Yes, my coat.
You said you didn't get close to the fire. How did your coat get damaged?
It was very windy, and embers were flying overhead, and one landed on my coat, and my coat started to burn.
How windy was it that day?
I'd say like 40 miles an hour.
How long did it take for the firefighters to put the fire out?
Oh, quite a long time. I don't know hours-wise. It was pretty smoky the next day, too, but not as bad.
I read that they controlled the fire into one triangular area. Is that true?
Yes, that is true.
What part of the city did they triangulate it into?
It was where the Mystic Mall is right now, that area.
What was the trouble the firefighters were having that day?
Well, it was a poor city, and we had a compromised water system with rusty pipes, and that made the fire even harder to fight with low water pressure.
Would you say that the fire spread very quickly that day?
Yes, due to the wind.
How much of the city burned?
I'd say like a third, maybe like 18 blocks.
What were some of the places that got damaged?
One place was my great-grandmother's house. A lot of factories that were in that area were damaged.
How long did it take to repair afterwards? Or would you say the city's still repairing?
I would say yes, it's still building to this day.
But for majority-wise, did you say you guys repaired pretty quick, or did it take years?
It did take years.
Were people of the city of Chelsea greatly affected by this fire?
Yes, I would say so. We had the National Guard there. I know we couldn't go to school for a while. A lot of buildings that were there weren't there anymore where people worked. So yeah, I would say that.
Were a lot of people put unemployed?
Yes.
What were some of the things you saw that day?
I saw many fire trucks. I saw many clouds overhead with embers. You could hear sirens, see the smoke. You knew something big was happening. It wasn't just like a little fire. You knew it was big.
Did the city go into a panic?
Yes.
I know you said you were evacuated from the city, but what about other people in the area? Would you say that they were?
A lot of people evacuated the area.
You know?
I would say like 90% because it was very scary that day.
What does that part of the city look like now?
It has a mall and some businesses, restaurants, a hotel.
Were you scared?
Very. Very scared.
Do you think the majority of people in Chelsea were scared?
Very scared.
Was there any chance of the fire spreading to other cities?
Yes, there was. We were close to East Boston and Everett. Yes, they were, in fact, very close to Everett. Not so much to East Boston, but very close to Everett.
At any point did you feel your life was directly in danger from this fire?
Well, I was young at the time, so yes, I would say I was very afraid that my house was going to burn down and my mother and brother would get hurt.
Were there any particularly interesting things that caught your eye that day?
I was amazed at the embers flying overhead when I knew exactly where the fire was and how far it was from where I was. I was amazed that the embers were flying overhead, and it was just scary, the whole thing.
What were some of the things that you found particularly interesting that day?
I did notice there were helicopters overhead. They were assessing the area at the time. I didn't know that at the time, but later I found that out. There were many fire trucks with different cities, you know, how they paint the city on the truck.
So you had to call in other city fire departments?
At least 60 of them. Yeah, they were from everywhere, trying to help.
Is there anything else you'd like to share about the fire?
I'm glad no one got hurt.
Okay, thank you for your time.
You're welcome.